Welcome. It is podcast 24. Patrick's being weird.
Welcome, guys. Thanks for joining us again.
Yes, we were talking about Friends.
We were. What about Friends?
What about Friends? We were
It's a
talking
good show.
about how basically we talk all the time on the phone, and we talk about really deep stuff, and we find that like the camera makes us overthink. But I'm like, I swear, if we actually listen, or like if we were able to record just our phone call without video, it would be actually really good. And I think it's not. I'm not trying to sound anyway, but I think that, Patrick's very insightful, and we both work very hard to be good, to grow as people.
Yeah.
And we took the risk of being good friends, of just talking about different things that bother us about ourselves, and we try to criticize constructively, not criticize, but talk about things that we can work on. And we also most of it is lifting each other up.
Yeah.
I know you lift me up a lot, and that's it means a lot. Being a good friend is having a good friend is amazing. Yeah. And I think in order to be a good friend, it takes a lot of work. I got divorced a while ago, and I just remember just this realization, I don't know who I am. Would I want to be my friend? Would I want to be a partner to me? Or and that I just felt completely lost, and a realization that I just didn't know. I didn't know hardly anything. And it took me on a journey of growth and just immersing myself in podcasts, books, self-help type things, Tony Robbins, relationships, and it was painful because I could see these relationships, he would talk, there'd be this couple talking about relationships, and they'd be talking about different things, and then I'd see the things that I was doing wrong in myself, and I'm like, wow. And it's really easy to do because it's just a natural human instinct to just fall into a tendency of maybe your parents or whatever, you learned what they're doing in their relationships, and you pick up on that, and you find that it's just toxic, and it's like, how do I change these things? And it's tough, but it can be tough, but it also is something to work for. And it's what's the most valuable thing that you have, and it really is yourself first. If maybe it's your spouse, but really I know this might sound weird, but I really think it should be you at first. And I understand children, that's a different thing. I imagine if I had kids, that would be the most important thing. I haven't had kids. I've heard people talk about that. But really, I think that valuing yourself is important, because I've had this mental, this picture. How caring do you think an individual would be if they didn't care about themselves, but they only cared about you? Would you rather that person, or a person that cared about themselves, took care of themselves very well? Yeah. Do you think that person's going to be able to take care of, be a better partner?
Right. Yeah, I think so. I heard this the other day. I don't know who to attribute it to, but they were saying that initially when they first started getting into, I think it was their marriage, that they thought it was 50-50, 50-50, and it was, I'll take care of you and you take care of me, or I'll take care of you and you take care of me. And he was saying that after a time he realized, no, actually now I know who it is. It's Jim Rohn. You know who Jim Rohn is?
Yeah.
awesome. Kind of, to me, how I look at him is the Tony Robbins of, like, you know, the generation prior.
Jim Rohn mentored Tony Robbins.
I didn't know that.
Tony Robbins worked with Jim Rohn for a long time.
That's dope. Yeah. I didn't know that. Yeah, I've listened to Jim Rohn before, and he has a lot of insights. But yeah, he said what he realized was that no, it actually should be, I'll take care of myself for you, and you take care of yourself for me.
Yeah.
You know?
And it sounds selfish, especially I think this really stems from the religious, especially religious people, I think will identify with this a lot.
Yeah.
I know I did, because like selflessness is the thing to strive for, self-sacrificing for other people in a sense.
Right.
And like I think I kind of grabbed onto that religious
point of view.
Sure. Yeah. And I really think it may be well intentioned, but I think it actually is it can be damaging.
I think it can be damaging, whether it's a romantic relationship, or even like you mentioned, but like before with kids. Yeah, like kids need to be important, but the thing is like, I think it's also a really important thing to set a role model for your kids. And that I'm saying that I don't have kids, nor do I plan to have kids, but like intuitively to me it seems like that it's important to show your kids what loving yourself is.
Yeah.
And if you can't love yourself, I don't think you can love anybody, even your kids, appropriately.
Yeah.
And also, if they see their father or their mother chasing their dreams, and loving the kids, but also, setting time aside for them and their dreams and aspirations, it'll show the kids that they also need to do that in their life.
Yeah.
And if they put themselves in some situations, you got to have boundaries and put yourself first, so that you can take care of yourself for the people in your life. Because and I'm stealing it again from Jim Rohn, but he said, how much better of a friend can I be if I'm able to go and accomplish my goals? How much better of a friend can I be if I make more money, or if I take care of my health, or if I am able to have really awesome experiences that I can then bring back to my family, to my friends, to my kids, to my spouse? How much better of a husband, a father, as a friend can I be? And I think that's hugely important. I think people almost, like you were saying, like they almost look at it as like, a sacrificial lamb type of situation, where the other person might be struggling in certain areas, and so you sacrifice your dreams, your aspirations, and your health, etc., for that other person. And then it's like, then they start looking at you like, well, like, where are you going?
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's like, I remember having this noble thought. I'm like, I would die for this person. Mm-hmm. And it's like, what value is your life? Mm-hmm. You haven't done anything. Like, giving your life doesn't mean much, because it's not like, there's no, I don't know if that sounds right. It's that life has value, but you don't value it very much yourself. Yeah. You not valuing your life. Oh, I'd give my life. Well, that's not saying much to you.
Right, because you don't even love yourself.
Yeah, and like it's not the big drastic things that really matter. It's the little things. Yeah. And I know that sounds simple, and I've heard that so many times. And I think that people say it with self-evidence. This should be self-evident, the little things, but and at least for me, it has been a difficult thing to really understand, or not understand, but to like enact and think of it as something important. But it's more than that. The more you understand, like just like if you have someone that just gives you a nice genuine compliment, that feels good. Mm-hmm. Like, okay, whatever. Like, it seems like little. it's not just that. Like, being thoughtful, being in, like, thinking about getting yourself out of yourself and thinking, what is this person thinking and feeling right now? What's going on in their mind? Right. And you can read people. Learn to read people. Because, like, especially when, like, caring about myself and being in tune with myself as an individual, what I'm thinking, feeling, whatever, enables you to really get outside of yourself and actually be able to see what other people are thinking, feeling, and then, like, you end up being more caring because you're taking care of yourself. You value yourself. You want to make sure you're okay, because the sad fact and the reality of it is there's nobody really gonna necessarily come to save you. Yeah, there's these people that are able to be there for you, and there's loving people that are there, have always been there, and they're important people, and I'm happy for you if you have those people. But really, you need to be self-sufficient in a sense, be self-soothing, critiquing, and be kind to yourself, because I'm gonna be honest, I'm a freaking
jerk to yourself.
Jerk to myself.
Yeah.
Like if I do something wrong, it could bother me for months. That I'm angry about this one thing. And nobody else cares.
No.
So also forgive yourself.
Yeah, forgive yourself. Realize that you're human.
Yeah.
And I think that is, I'm similar. I'm pretty self-critical. And I think that a lot of people struggle with that. And that I heard something a long time ago that really, I think, helped with this, at least to intellectualize it, which is that, like, you probably can go back and remember almost every embarrassing thing you ever did, right? But if you ask your friend, hey, can you list all the embarrassing things that I did? They might be able to list one or two.
Yeah.
But most people have forgotten. And definitely the people that are, like, kind of, maybe just a coworker or an acquaintance, they're not going to remember. They're too focused about their embarrassments and their shortcomings and their mistakes to ever think about yours. And the other thing too is like say, like we're hanging out or whatever, or let's say if we were working together, you made a mistake, I'd probably be like, it's no big deal, dude. Don't worry about it. This is all good.
Yeah.
But if I made the same mistake, I'd be like, you piece of crap, you're no good. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I would just be beating on myself, like you said, for maybe months if it was a decent sized mistake.
Yeah.
But if it was the reverse and it was your friend that made that mistake, you'd be like, yeah, it's all good, bro.
Yeah.
It's all good. No worries. And we're all human and we all make mistakes. And so it's like being able to, forgive yourself and, but also at the same time, don't, I think that kind of goes hand in hand. What goes hand in hand with forgiving yourself is also the more that you can not think about yourself in some ways. It's kind of like this weird dichotomy where it's like you need to forgive yourself and you need to care about yourself and love yourself, but you also need to not think about yourself so much.
Yeah.
It's this weird thing where, and I feel like there's principles in life like this that occur again and again, where it's like both things are simultaneously true, and even though they are like diametrically opposite, which is like love yourself, but don't be in love with yourself.
Yeah. Don't be a self-absorbed person.
Right.
That. Yeah. I've seen a couple of them, and like I've seen like they can kind of be bullies, because they're the only important person there is them. Yeah. They love and care about themselves so much that nothing else matters.
Which can actually make them really charismatic.
Very charismatic and confident. I'm the best, and like I think a part of that is positive.
Yeah.
I'm not shooting that down, but there is a point where it's just like then there's a little bit of insecurity in there.
Right.
where then they're like shoving you down. They're like that big talker that you think is going to be the straight up warrior going right into the battle,
right.
But they're the first ones to run.
Right, they're the coward actually.
The coward
underneath it all. Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, human psychology is so fascinating because we come in so many different varied shapes and sizes, and just like I like to think of how, like, you know, people look so different on the outside, right? Mm-hmm. You know, I mean, we have so many different races and ethnicities, and then also like height. And some people are tall, some people are short, some people are, you know, have a long waist, you know, some people have long legs, etc. Some people, you know, it's like all these different shapes and sizes, different hair colors, different eye colors, you know, beard, no beard, you know, all this stuff. And then, but yet sometimes I think people simplify it and they think that all our minds are the same. And I think just as varied as we are on the outside, and how we appear varied on the outside, and it's evident, people are also that way in their brain.
For sometimes, there are distinct we are
same but different.
Yeah,
but still same.
Yeah, there are the only reason why there are people that are malevolent.
Okay.
There are people. So I'm not like there are people that, I mean, desperation makes people do crazy things, but then there are people that just they have a moral conscience, or they may be aware of the fact that they're hurting another person, but they get off on the idea of hurting another person.
Right. They gain pleasure from that.
Yeah.
It's true, but I think it's also true. It's like those are kind of like I don't know, like, you know, the person that has you know, I'm trying to look for an analogy here, but it's gonna be wild. But like, you know, there's people that are born without arms and legs, right?
Yeah.
And then there's psychopaths. I'm not saying that people born without arms and legs are psychopaths. I'm just saying that there's people that are born with obvious physical deformities. And then there's people that are born with obvious mental deformities.
Yeah.
And they're permanent.
There are some. I think I have heard of psychopaths. They don't feel a certain way, but they recognize what empathy is, even though they don't feel it.
They can intellectualize it.
They can intellectualize that these individuals aren't them. They're not so self-absorbed that these individuals are different, and they feel a certain way.
Right.
So I'm going to interact differently.
Right. And which makes them way, way more dangerous socially.
But they also don't they respect that. They're not trying to take advantage of it. And that's a bigger person. I think individuals that recognize things for what they are,
self-awareness,
and they take a higher road, are awesome individuals. They recognize things that they could easily take advantage of the situation, but don't. I think the weak people are the ones that just take advantage of any situation that they can when there's another option. And I think that the harder route is handling situations and figuring out ways to make a better outcome in that situation by pausing and thinking, and how can I handle this in a more positive light?
Yeah. Well, that what you're kind of saying there kind of reminds me of Jordan Peterson.
Yeah.
Because he talks about something similar, which is that he said, you know, and I'll probably butcher this, but he says, you know, that in the Bible where it says the meek shall inherit the earth, And he said the meaning of the translation, like how we think of the word meek in English, is weak. And he said
it's bad translation.
Right. It's
probably
bad.
If you ancient Hebrew or Greek, it would probably be Greek.
Yeah,
would be a different translation. By the way, I'm sorry. On a side note, we'll go back to what he's saying. Mm-hmm. A lot of the Bible is translations are probably not completely accurate what it was meant to say. Just like if you go from the 80s to the to present, same words mean different things.
Yep.
So yeah.
Yep. I would agree with that. I think it's you really have to be careful reading the Bible in the English translation because it's been translated many times. So he was basically saying, so we think of the word meek and we think weak because that's really what it means in English. It's kind of weak. Yeah. But in the original Greek, Hebrew, or whatever Aramaic, whatever original language, it was actually translated as basically, in essence, those that essentially have great power with a sword, mm-hmm. but sheathe their sword, shall inherit the earth. Yeah. So it's essentially it's going back to what you were saying. It's the ability to manipulate or take advantage of somebody, but not. Yeah. Those people shall inherit the earth. Yeah. It's not the person that can't do anything, mm-hmm. that's not effective or competent in any way, and is good just because they can't even be bad in an effective way. Yeah. So it's not those people that shall inherit the earth. It's the people that could do great evil and gain and be very profitable from it. Yeah. But don't. And those people are gonna inherit the earth. And I think that's really beautiful. And I think that's really the essence of where male or female, that's where you want to move towards. It reminds me of another. I believe it's the Bible too, but I don't know the verse. But it says, "Be wise as a serpent and harmless as a dove." So you want to be wise as a serpent, meaning you're able to see through the traps that people set, but you're still not going to strike. Yeah. You're going to be harmless as a dove.
Strike like you only strike if it's the last resort, but a lot of the times the strike that you think is the last resort isn't the last resort. Mm-hmm. Meaning, the more knowledge and wisdom that you learn, mm-hmm. is the more tools. It's like. Mm-hmm. It's ways of circumventing ever having to come to a point where you like violence or anything is like ever needed. Yeah.
Well, I think it's like it's almost like if you're a black belt, right? Mm-hmm. If you were in a fight with a black belt, and this is just intuitive to me, maybe I'm wrong, but it seems like the more of a master you are at the martial arts, the better you are at subduing somebody that's trying to attack you, but not in a hurtful mm-hmm. or harmful way, but in the most gentle way possible. Yeah. You're able to pin him down in a way that's not hurting him, but you're able to still subdue him. Whereas somebody that's maybe like an intermediate would have to smash the crap out of him in order to subdue him because he doesn't have the tools in his tool belt to effectively deal with it. But I laughed when you were kind of talking just because it actually reminded me of a UFC fight that I saw a small portion of it where this guy was on top and he was just totally smashing this guy's face in, and his mouth guard fell out and he literally stopped. He had him pinned down. He stopped. He picked it up and shoved it back in his mouth and then kept slamming.
Oh no!
Like that's. I feel like if you're the person on the ground, like you just kind of you just have to stop your career at that point. Like you kind of feel like this guy's like, hey, let me help you out here and put this back in.
That's
I don't want to hurt your teeth.
Yeah. What a good guy.
But it just goes to show how like he's mastered it. And he's totally outclassed this guy.
Yeah. I had that. Yeah.
Isn't that hilarious?
It's funny.
I'll have to show you the video. It's amazing. Yeah. But yeah, I think like going back to like friendship and stuff. I think being more competent in social situations and just competent in general life, by increasing your abilities in all areas and aspects of your life allows you to be a better friend, because if that friend has something that they're struggling with, you're able to effectively go in and help them.
Yeah.
And if instead it's kind of like the example of if you're in the National Guard or something and somebody's drowning, you jump in the water, and if you don't take care of yourself, you guys will both drown.
Mm-hmm.
And if they're flailing and they're out of their mind, sometimes you have to punch them
And drag them by the hair.
Yeah. And you think, well, that's mean, but it's tough love, because you have to actually take care of yourself before you can help somebody else. And I think that's where a lot of people go wrong. I've seen it before where people give everything that they have to the other person, and then it's like they both drowned.
Yeah.
In life.
Yeah, it's and that's a tough one. You give everything, and you're like, I just want just like a little bit of like improvement, but sometimes it's you gotta let people go their own way.
Yeah.
And learn and survive.
Yeah.
And become self-independent.
Yeah.
Self-dependent.
Yeah. Well, it's like I mean, if you think about it, it's kind of like if you're a parent and you have a kid and they live at home, it's like, is it love to continue just be like, oh, it's okay, you don't have a job. Oh, it's okay, you're not really like providing anything for yourself or others. Oh, it's okay, you're just like basically not providing anything for society, but we'll take care of you. It's like eventually that individual is going to be a 40-year-old living in their parents' basement, and you just ruined their life. Effectively, you enabled them to destroy their own life.
I have something to say about this, though, because I've heard this exactly what you were saying.
Yeah.
I agree, but I also strongly disagree.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's a reason why that person's in that place.
Mm-hmm.
If you, and this is, I haven't had kids or anything. This is just looking at human beings.
Yeah.
But I'm sorry, but if if your kid is at this point in your life, yeah, people will say, well, this person just grew up. They're just a demon child. Well, okay. There's a very small percentage of human beings that are just completely malevolent, and the ones that turn malevolent went through horrible, terrible situations, probably when they were young, and they turned into this individual because of something that happened traumatic in their life.
Mm-hmm.
For the most part, that isn't necessary. So it's the way that you raise the child.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm saying that because especially my generation, maybe younger generation, I see it a lot, and it's more than other. And if you look at it in history, it's not like that in history. So it is a problem of what's happening today. Mm-hmm. It's just an observation.
Yeah.
And it means that potentially it's not your fault, but it could be your parents' fault. And just because it's your parents' fault doesn't mean you get to blame them. Blame them.
Sure.
But also see, just like if you look at the generations, you look at the individual, you look at how they were raised, and like I've heard it before, it's an excuse, whatever. It's up to you to be like, okay, this. I think the Bible's correct when it says the sins of the fathers go down, or like what? How does this go?
Yeah. It says the sins of the father shall be passed down to the third and fourth generation.
Yeah, which by the way, I think that if you looked at that verse, that is not an absolute. I've heard that before as an absolute and accepted that as an absolute growing up in the Christian church. And I think I call bullocks. Bullocks. Yeah, bullocks. American dude trying to sound British. No, it can stop exactly where you are. It takes a lot of hard work and self-awareness. I think a lot of it comes down to self-awareness. And nobody likes self-awareness a lot of times because that means looking at things that are flawed in you as an individual. And the thing is, I think that there's ways to do it without being horrible to yourself. Okay, I see this. At least recognize it. I recognize it and don't say that it is what it is. I can't change.
Right.
Like, just look at yourself. What are some of the things? And start working on little stuff. Like, and just drown yourself in podcasts or books or audiobooks.
Sure. Yeah.
I one thing, like, I had this thought when I was younger, or I've had this thought of, well, you tend to, especially when you first start out with like self-help things or whatever, you can get, honestly, where a lot of people have fallen for scams, and there's a lot of information that like are scams. Listen to a bunch of different people.
Yeah.
I don't recommend at all listening to one thing.
Right.
Like, I don't recommend, if you want wisdom and understanding, I don't recommend being a certain religion and just focusing on this certain religion and not look at other religions to understand other religions and stuff. I don't care if you come back to the same fact that your religion is the truth, whatever, but at least understand what else is out there besides what you grew up in your life where you think your religion, your ideas are the truth.
Yeah.
Because the reality is, if you take like a 11, 12, 13-year-old and you ingrain them with doctrine or whatever, they're going to grow up most likely, I think it's like 90% chance, that they're going to go back to the same religion that they grew up with. And that doesn't matter what it is. That could be literally anything. Right. Any religion. Whatever religion.
Yeah. Now
think about that. Do you think you have the truth? Okay. Well, that's fine if you do. That's great. And I don't think that people should then just go without the religion. I think that religions are great, and I think that it helps ground you and have something to hold on to. And I like believe in your religion's everything. Like, great. I would not want you to just throw that away. I think that it's kind of like culture and everything. Like, hold on to that stuff. It's part of your identity.
Part of your upbringing.
Yeah.
I think that's true. I think ideas are similar to people, which are similar to businesses, which are similar to religions and cultures. It's like and countries, like these are all very similar things. It's probably because it's all touched by humans, but like if you isolate yourself and you don't allow for any criticism or any different opposing thoughts or ideas, then, I mean, you could be correct, but the chances of you from the time you were, a little kid to the time you were 18, let's say, or if you take a snapshot, any 10-year snapshot or period in time of your life, the chances that all the ideas that you got during that time are all correct, I feel like are pretty low.
Yeah.
So what you need to do is at least be willing to bring in other ideas, other people, other cultures, other religions. If your country have open borders and trade. I don't mean open borders and you let people come across anytime you want. But I'm just saying is you're trading with other countries. You're allowing it's like, I think that's the beautiful thing about America is like we're the melting pot, right? So we allow other cultures to come in with other religions, with other ideas, and we will sit there, and if another country has a good invention, we want to import that, right?
Yeah, I think that you also have to understand, I'm not saying accept necessarily. There are ideologies on the deeper levels that you go toward when you go to that actually have things that are a little disturbing.
I'm not saying accept every idea, every new idea, but I'm saying at least hear them out, hear ideas out, because you may. I mean, I think I can speak for you as well, but I think the biggest asset you have is logic and rationale. So
reason.
Yeah.
Reason has become one of my found, like, basically one of the things that I really tried to hold to. And you think, like, I've thought of myself as a reasonable person.
Yeah.
With what? That's not a good. I thought that I was able to reason pretty good at one point.
Yeah.
But you look at your life and be brutally honest, and you really, like, I can think of many times where I thought of, like, an emotion or even a thought things out, thinking that I'm using reason in an effective way, but in reality, a lot of it's justification. And justification is not reason. Right. It's playing something out in your mind and playing out, where is this going to lead to? Right. What likely outcome?
Yeah. What would happen if we took this to the limit?
Yeah.
But I think those areas where you found that your reason was maybe not up to standard, I feel like, in that you've since changed, I would guess that it probably came about through listening to other ideas and talking with other people.
Yes.
And then through that dialogue, that back and forth, that exchange, you're able to actually borrow some other people's reason and logic and kind of take
way more intelligent than I am. Yeah. People like listen to audio biographies. I've honestly been listening to some science fiction books, and I know people like would be like, "Whoa, that's just fantasy or whatever," but like, I've listened to some painful science fiction books that like put like impossible situations in, and I know it's like hypothetical, but there are some things that are like, you put yourself through these situations, what would you do? Or don't even do that. Audio biographies. But some of these people are biased, and like I think that it's kind of like a journey of finding things that you can kind of understand and you can not relate to. You can, the more you learn, for instance, the more people you listen to, I pick things that I like from many different people that I like. I'm not trying to be one person. I like a lot of people and I admire them, and I'm not probably like some, like the people like like Hormozy, Dr. J. Peterson. There's things, but in my mind, I'm looking at different things, and like honestly, they do things 100 times better than I do. But there are still things that I see and I'm like, like...
Right.
I'm trying to build me.
Right.
Build me with my ideas and a foundation of who I want to be through other people's experiences and stealing what I think is good.
Right. And I think that's a beautiful thing because it's like, and I think that's not to veer too much into politics, but that's the dangerous thing about sitting there and being like, I'm a Republican, or I'm a Democrat, or I'm a Libertarian, or I'm a what have you, or, that would be the equivalent of I'm a Jordan Peterson. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's like taking everything part and parcel and not really filtering anything out. You're now, if you listen to Jordan Peterson, you share all his ideologies. Like you should be running everything through your logic, your rationale, your reason, and then keeping the things that make sense to you logically and discarding the other things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know I keep, I'm acting like I have some profound thought, but I don't. But, yeah. Life, man. Life. It's a challenge, and I know that it may not seem practical sometimes to listen to these things and take time, but I find that there's a lot of enjoyment. And I think it was a couple podcasts ago I was hammering hard on just like learning about investing and everything. And
yes.
I'm not in a position where I want to be able to actually do the stuff that I want to do. Mm-hmm. And I was finding that I was just stressed out, not happy. I'm like getting anxious at my job, like getting frustrated. I'm like, I need to take a mental break.
Right.
Take a mental break. And I'm like, I'm just gonna listen to a science fiction book. Yeah. I started a series. I'm trucking. I have the luxury of being able to do that, and I just took a mental break, and I started another one. It started getting bored and started going back to podcasting because like some of the stuff was only just so interesting to a certain point. Mm-hmm. And I think sometimes it's good to just like relieve the pressure of doing things and think about things. Like, for instance, I was like thinking about getting a dump truck, like I was saying a couple podcasts ago. Mm-hmm. And I looked into it, and I'm like looking at the overhead, because my idea was just to get that initially, and then get like an excavator later on. But the amount of money that it takes for that was more than I was anticipating, and really the only way to do it was to like go all in on that. Mm-hmm. We had a little disruption there.
Little food bar
spliced in.
Slice it in there.
Okay. Yeah, I don't need to go into details on the plans or whatever, but I've been really focused on like getting a business and everything, and I was finding that it was stressing me out quite a bit, and like the way I was feeling was like, maybe you should just keep on going. Like, because I feel like in my mind, I'm like, oh, you're just going to settle and do something. And I don't necessarily know what I'm going to be doing. Mm-hmm. But I'm kind of going towards where things are going to be, like, it gets me kind of excited. And I've done enough things and I've researched enough things to know what kind of gets me excited. And I'm not really focusing on money. I'm looking at it, okay, this has a potential to make money, something that I can do while I'm working a regular job. Mm-hmm. And spend time doing, and maybe get good at it. Yeah. But if I don't end up making money with it, I still enjoy doing it regardless.
Yeah.
So it's a kind of like a win-win. Yeah. And I feel it in my soul to not push it yet.
Yeah. And just
recover. Because I've tried many different things, and like failure, I guess.
Yeah.
I learned things.
Yeah.
Having a business can be really rough.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot to surround, and I do think though that's why it's like, I think some of the best businesses have come about from hobbies that people enjoy, and then they just start doing it more and more and more, and it becomes more and more profitable, and then they just start to realize, well, hey, I should probably hire somebody, and then they're like, hey, I should probably do this and this and this, and then it just kind of starts taking its natural progressions. And then all of a sudden, you do have a fairly good-sized business, and you're happy because it's something that you would do anyways. So,
yeah, man.
But
life.
Just like Theo Vaughn, he's like, life, man. He's like, it just keeps on giving. He's like, when you're just walking down the street and you're like sitting there, and life's like, guess what? And you're like, what? And you're like, here's more life. And you're like, I got enough life. And then it's like, here's more life.
Theo Vaughn, a national treasure.
He is a national treasure. Yeah. But anyways, so yeah. I mean, I think all these things are important, and just to kind of keep in the forefront. I know that's something that we were talking about earlier today, and I think it's valuable. It's valuable information, and depending on where you're at and what you're going through at this time, but it's sometimes you gotta have those boundaries for yourself, but also and love yourself, but at the same time, pay attention to other people and be empathetic, and I think dovetailing in what you were saying with the dump trucking thing, it's like having that self-awareness that you realize, hey, I'm kind of spinning my wheels here and I'm stressing out for no reason. Mm-hmm. And I can actually just, deploy self-love and realize where I'm at and kind of position myself in life and allow myself to, have a hobby and kind of go down that path and not be so stressed out and self-critical about myself. And it'll eventually probably end up in a good place.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of voices and just try it, see what happens. And I think that it can be good. And I did try. Mm-hmm. Didn't necessarily succeed. I did learn a lot, mm-hmm. And it's not giving up. It's knowing that it's not even necessarily lacking. It's just being aware of where you are.
Where you're at in your
I'm
journey.
Aware of where I'm at and knowing what I went through the last time, and to get up and fight again. Mm-hmm. I'm thinking, what's the most important thing? And I think that I've listened to a lot of people and they've gotten up and fought again.
Yeah.
I do wonder how many people have heard that advice and got up and fought again and lost and lost and lost and lost and lost.
And never won.
Yeah. And it's not to be any way, but trying to be reasonable and be like, okay, I genuinely think that I could succeed. Mm-hmm. In if I got a dump truck, mm-hmm. I believe that I could succeed.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
I know I can make it work.
Yeah.
But my original goal,
mm-hmm.
my thinking process went from I want to get a dump truck and just use it here and there, and then transfer. Yeah, use it for a year or two. Build up capital and stuff, and then build an excavator.
Yeah.
Get an excavator.
Yeah.
And do demolition projects and stuff, and maybe get contacts to if there's a disaster, go out there and
right.
do it. That stuff is so cool to me.
After a hurricane, that'd be
dope.
Cool.
That was kind of a dream idea. Mm-hmm. And when I ran through the numbers with the dump truck, trying to see the reality of it, I was like, well, it's gonna be overhead on that thing is going to be $10,000 a month.
Right.
And that doesn't in of itself bother me, but it's like the payments and then the insurance on that. Like the overhead is just really high. Mm-hmm. The profit margins are decent, but it's going to be something that you're going to just have to grind and grind and grind and grind.
Yeah.
And you're going to have to do that. It's something, if you are wanting to do this for a long term, then do it. So my original idea, build capital, do investments and stuff, it doesn't really fit with my long-term plan.
Fair.
So I didn't get attached to the idea.
Right.
So don't get too attached to an idea. Play it out. See if it's going to actually work with your overall goal. If you don't have a goal, kind of formulate some idea of what your goal. I want freedom.
Right.
I believe that I have developed enough skills and abilities. If I get enough capital, I'm learning about investing and everything. I've been in the investing field for a while, so I want to build up capital, invest, try to make some decent, like nice little investments here in the next couple years.
Yep.
But that's listening to podcasts, learning, and making some decent calls. They don't have to be perfect.
Yep.
But if you're playing a longer term game, I'm not trying to day trade.
Yep.
Like, I think you would agree to this. The shorter amount of time, the more knowledge and more time it's going to take to make that money in the short time.
Yeah.
The longer term, pointed knowledge and patience. You're still going to have put a lot of information, lot of knowledge. Like, you're going to have to research and do a lot of
due diligence.
Yeah. But I think you can make some pretty decent findings.
Yeah.
And spread it out a little bit.
Yep.
Investment. So that's kind of the route I'm leaning towards. And yeah.
See where it goes from there.
Yeah.
It's like Alex Hormozy says. He says, money loves speed, wealth loves time.
Yeah.
And we got time. So
yeah.
Anyways, so yeah. Thanks for joining in.
Yeah.
This is Hormetic Monks.
Hope you found value.
Yeah.
I didn't necessarily want to talk about some of these things, but I hope that, I think my thought processes are decent. I know they're not perfect.
Oh yeah.
Formulating but I think that a little bit of time spent on planning can be very useful, and maybe like having this is the road work I'm using right now, so use it as you will, and I hope it gives you some value. So yeah, I hope you guys have a great rest of your week, and peace out.
Yeah, we'll see you next week for Hormetic Monks 25. See ya.